in Basra just 5 or 6 weeks ago, and we were talking about some of the problems that they're facing, and he was talking about the extreme labor shortage in the country, so of skilled labor. There is skilled labor, but he set an example. There's a plan for the pipeline, a seawater pipeline project, which is necessary to bring water into the 5 major oil fields in Basra, necessary to produce oil. Some of the fields need 1 barrel of water for each barrel of oil they want to produce. So we're talking millions of barrels of water a day. And he said that to build this project, you could use entirely all Iraqi skilled labor to weld and to build the pipes and to lay it and dig. But that would leave virtually no skilled labor for the development of the oil field or for other construction projects in the country. And so you're having this issue where you have this opportunity, but all of the things that Iraq is attempting to overcome, need to be fast-tracked, and it's difficult in a country that there are plenty of problems, bureaucracy, red tape, security, et cetera, that prevent that fast track from happening. Really quickly, I'd like to talk about two other areas. One is the political situation, and I'm talking about the term that we tend to throw around, which is democracy, which of course would be, if fully implemented, could be a net positive for developing the oil sector in a safe manner and one that respects the environment and the people. But democracy is more than an election, and that tends to be the problem right now. Civil liberties of individuals, of various groups, non-governmental organizations, journalist watchdogs have been severely curtailed and often wind up with people imprisoned without charge and tortured. There are no legally sanctioned union rights for the governments, the public sector, and especially the oil workers. Even though they've soon after 2003 they decided to form unions anyways and have pretty strong evolving oil workers and other sectors a union. Despite the fact that one of the few laws that was one of the few Saddam-era laws that were kept in place by the CPA and then kept in place by the government was the law banning union organizing, which goes against basic human rights, as well as the fact that Iraq has signed up as a signatory to the member of the International Labor Organization, various international labor commitments, which is now in violation of, first by the United States and then by the Iraqi hand. And then there's the issue of rule of law, which has not really taken place yet because everything's operating in a mode of security, as opposed to a legal framework. We've seen that with the inability of the government, now the second government, to pass a law kind of setting the framework for regulating the oil sector and dealing with the issues of how to interact with foreign companies, how to interact internally between the competing interests of and definitions of federalism, revenue redistribution between the provinces to the local communities, contractually, what happens if there's a challenge to if an international oil company thinks that that the Iraqi government is violating the contract, or vice versa. Is the judiciary strong enough to set aside politics and actually look at a contract and make a ruling? And are the judges willing to accept the consequences of that? The one big issue that has not been resolved yet, and it is in fits and starts, but it's still very tenuous, is the dispute between the Kurdistan region, the semi-autonomous region in the north, and Baghdad over a number of issues, but most importantly for what we're talking about, the nearly 40 contracts that the KRG has signed with foreign oil companies, which have brought on nearly 100,000 barrels a day of exports for the past few months. But there's no agreement on how these companies will be paid, let alone how their contracts will be honored and by which government. And then the ongoing and now increasing tension and fighting in Kirkuk and the disputed territories, which have a direct relation to how a government can stay together and move forward for the country and not be fractured from within. And lastly, the security issue has not been fully resolved. Just yesterday, 2 days ago, there were 9 bombs found unexploded on the Kirkuk pipeline. There was the incident at the Beji refinery where 2 bombs expertly placed took a nice chunk offline, at least most of it temporarily. There was the storming of the provincial council building in Tikrit, which saw horrible casualties and very inexpensive sophistication by determined people. And then the assassinations, which are ongoing and don't make it into the news, but I mean the reality is that there are people being killed every single day throughout the country, especially in Baghdad, at levels that everyone would say is unacceptable, in their neighborhood. And just I believe yesterday, or maybe it was earlier today, there was a top general that was killed outside of in a somewhat safe neighborhood where a lot of members of parliament live nearby in Ghazaliya, and he has a high-level position near at the Air Force. I mean, the head of was the dean of medicine, I think, at Baghdad University or Baghdad University was killed. I mean, these are the higher levels, but you're seeing assassinations. You're seeing the Interior Ministry warning people, if you are a government worker, don't take your government car because you'll just be a target because you're driving in a government car. And this is the situation of Iraq today. And to avoid ending on a sour note, security has improved. It's easy to see from afar, and especially when you talk to Iraqis and you see them, sitting in a new restaurant that opened up in Baghdad and criticizing the government while they're sitting there, drinking tea with family or friends. And this is like 9 at night, 10 in the evening. Security has improved, and the trend shows that the Iraqi people, kind of, this is putting it into my words, but that the Iraqi people have this ability somehow to see past this kind of impending disaster and push and pull their country forward towards this prosperity, towards these opportunities that they feel that they have, which will be, largely funded by oil. So I hope that's at least a positive enough note to go to questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So some promising news, but still a lot of dismaying news. I think it's very dismaying to think that, in Iraq, the bureaucracy is still so bogged down they can't even get contracts signed. But we have a room full of energy experts here who want the kind of details you have to offer. Let me start with Barbara.
Hi, it's Barbara Slavin. Nice
Hello.
to see you, Ben, in person. I
How are
got
you?
to edit a couple of his stories, not a year or so ago.
Thank you for being kind. Your editing.
They were fine. I wanted to ask about the foreign companies that are investing in Iraq. Which country has sent the most oil companies? Where does Iraq see its customers likely to be? And how does Iraqi oil compare to Iranian oil in terms of quality, ease of refining, that sort of thing? And,
Sure.
and do you see a rivalry building up there?
I'll answer the second question first. Definitely a rivalry continuing. I don't know the qualities. I wouldn't be able to answer that question, but possibly somebody else in the room might be able to. Any experts that care to?